This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader. Welcome to the market wrap for February 15th, 2019. Like I said, we're going to start with the trades from today, and then we'll do the indices at the end, closer to the close, so we can get a better read on where the Qs and SPY are going to be closing. Markets will be closed on Monday, so just be aware equities markets are closed, and so you won't hear from me until Tuesday. All right. So I want to go over this SU first, and there's a point in this that kind of came from I had a coaching session last night with a client, and we were talking about consistency. Okay, so I just want to go over this SU first. Okay, the SU is this one right here. Okay, so we'll focus on this. This was called here. Okay, over this topping tail. This topping tail is 33.55. Okay, and then this tier was 33.44, and this was 33.45. So over this right here, we got a gap up, ran up, did a pullback, tried to go once, gave us a topping tail. Now over the topping tail. Okay, that was the call long. Okay, target one was 33.70. Okay, and as we were kind of getting close to it, right, you can see that I changed the targets. 15 minutes later, I said, let's go for 33.80, because I was worried that on this initial run-up that we might run out of steam. And before getting to our first target, we started to consolidate. And so I thought, okay, great. We can now look for bigger targets because it's correcting the issue I was worried about, which was too many green bars, right? Usually we get some kind of correction, and the way that we corrected was base at the highs. So I took that as very bullish. So I increased the targets. So targets became 33.80. Okay, eventually we trailed on the 1 minute. I think the first trail after it got to like 77, 78, we got out at 72. And then the next one was at, once we got to 80, was at 79. And then the last target was 34. And then once we broke 90, I said, take the rest. I think 88 was the last bit. Okay, so that was the management on this SU. Ended up working even more. You can see after it came in, we were already out. We basically got out right around here, came in, and then actually made a new high, and then was able to recover, and then made a new high in the afternoon. So I didn't hold a runner on this. Would have made a little bit more, or at least it made a new high afterwards. But not a bad little play there on the SU. Now, if you recall, yesterday, the call was the BLMN, right? I only had one call yesterday, one call today. Okay, I'm going to remove this SU. I think you got the idea there. Okay. And so I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were saying, I'm trying to get more consistency in my trading. Okay, and so, we were trying to talk a little bit about where do we start? Because what, is it about what you're doing that isn't consistent? And that could be that your management's not consistent, your entry's not consistent, so you're getting random results because you're doing random strategies and doing random management. Okay, and I just want to look at this play from the BLMN, right? We played this BLMN over this topping tail, right? I think it was 20.95 was the entry, and over this topping tail after a run up and a pullback. Now both of these were also things that were gapping up in the morning. You see that? Gapping up right in the morning, gapping up in the morning on the SU. Okay. Now, I know we all kind of are at different levels of our technical analysis, but I would think that even, if you were to just put these side by side, that most people can say, and here is our entry here, here is our entry here, can see the visual similarities in the way that these set up, right? Here's our entry here, here's our entry here. This was yesterday, this was today, okay? So when we're talking about consistency, you have to start having the components, the things that you do day in and day out, be consistent if you're going to be looking for consistent results. Now, sometimes it's not that this pattern will always work. I know that this will sometimes fail, sometimes won't trigger or whatever, right? But at least I know that I have an edge on a gap up that sets up like this. gives me a topping tail, and that serves as my secondary entry, okay? Because the first buy setup already failed, and I want to make sure that this doesn't immediately put in the topping tail and go right back down, right? Because a lot of people will look at topping tails as a bearish event. And so I'm looking at it as, okay, the negation of a bearish event is bullish, okay? So, I just want to kind of bring this to your attention because I think if you're looking for consistency in your trading, and that should be what we're looking for more than anything else, more than, to make a lot on the next play or to have the best scanner or the best execution tools, right? All of that helps improve your consistency and maximize what you're going to pull out away as far as what is your edge. But executing your edge, right, consistently is what we're looking to do. Okay, so I just wanted to put these side by side because I think, you may say, well, every trade's different and nothing ever sets up the same. And while I agree, I can't take these two charts and overlay them and say, oh, there's only one picture here. But to me, the visual similarities are the same. And as the way that they are logged in my trading log will be exactly the same. They are pro gaps as the strategy. That gives me my bias. And then they are buy setup entries on the secondary entry there. Okay. So this was the SU play today. Like I said, I did want to make sure I get a picture of the entries there just so you can see them. You can see if, maybe if you see something like that, a call like that, is that something that you can get involved in, you can participate in and take advantage of, right, on the SU. Okay, so that was the only call today. My favorite going into this morning was the NWL. For some reason, I guess I just kind of lost track of it at the open. Oh, well, I tried to get the TRUE and I couldn't get filled. So we'll look at both of those because those were my two favorites. And then I kind of like lost track of the NWL and then went to go play the TRUE and then didn't get filled on the TRUE and then the NWL went. Okay, so here was the NWL. Is really just a 1 minute here. Okay, the 1 minute. Eventually set up a high-low, and that's really all you needed. There were some other entries in here. Sammy actually called this NWL. I think they did pretty well. But I just I moved over to the TRUE to get it. But underneath this, just high-low here. Under that low there is 1870. So it was like a 30-40 cent stop on this NWL on a really nice gap down. This was I had as the number one gap. Okay, clearing and eventually broke through the support. I did want to see it get through the support, but I was pretty sure that this shock value would help. So that was the NWL under 1870. You can see right now it's at 1718. That was a big move. And then I wanted to get some TRUE this morning, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be. I think I was talking to someone who did get some, and they got filled a little bit later, wider than the limit that I gave it. I was trying to get it under 30, 830, and then I gave it a limit to 23. I think they got filled 21. So I was just either, it wasn't meant to happen, or I just gave it too tight on the limit. I gave it to 23 because I figured we're already making new lows. I don't want to get it much later than that. I think they got it at 21. So, I mean, if you got it at 821, you still had a pretty nice play on your hands. You see right now it's at 770. So that was gap number 2. My third favorite was the PEP, and I don't think the PEP ever set up. So it was fine. It was just a gap up. Yeah, immediately got sold at the open. So this is not the kind of thing that I want to go after, especially as a long. So like if I was looking for this long and then it actually put this bar and then took out the highs maybe, but you can see this was basing at the low. So I don't think, I took it off a chart. I stopped watching it. Sorry about that. So those were the 3 that I was focusing on this morning. And then eventually, found this setup on the SU. So that wasn't even really a focus, but I saw the setup there. And then this ended up being the nicest play for me today was this SU. Okay, so that worked out pretty well. Was happy with that. The only other thing I can go over here was the type. I almost forgot. The type. This was bad. This was painful. I did get in it here. Okay, my targets were above $19. I had a limit order to fill me if it got there. I got triggered in over this tail. 1867 is I think where I got filled, and went to 1899. And then I didn't get really a chance to do anything. Came all the way back down, and I said either it's gonna recover or stop back out. You don't want to see your breakout with big volume, big wide range. A lot of times that spells trouble. So this was a loss, but the SU more than made up for it. So that was my day in a nutshell. Didn't get the TRUE, didn't get the NWL, but did get the SU, and then this TYPE was the loser there. So too bad. I like this breakout. I knew this was a bit thin on this TYPE, and that it's a bit, at the end of the day, this kind of thing is untradeable. Really, I try to avoid this kind of mess typically, but it was a good setup. Just the wrong symbol, not the kind of symbol I want to get involved in typically. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the Qs and SPY here. They have another just 6 minutes, and then we will be on to our 3-day weekend. So that's exciting. All right, so the Qs looking to close up 0.27, somewhere around 1/4% there on the Qs. Let's take a look at the daily and the hourly, even though not much is going on. Very narrow day here. Still bullish on the Qs and SPY, and especially on the longer term here, this buy setup continues to hold. We're not even coming close to it. Small gap up today on the Qs. Let's take a look at the hourly here. It really hasn't been a big factor today, the market. It's just been really sloppy, actually. If you go to the 5 and 15, you can see the sloppiness. If you were kind of following along with the market today, you can saw it's just like whippy, but not really going anywhere. So pretty boring stuff. SPY going to be up almost 1%, so a little bit of relative strength on the SPY, continuing the bullishness. So we'll go into Tuesday bullish still, so nothing changed. Long-term bias won't change until we take out this pivot. Okay, so that is what we'll be looking at on Tuesday. Okay, so Monday is President's Day. Markets will be closed. All right. So that's going to do it for today's market wrap. I really hope that, the kind of lesson as far as getting consistency comes from doing the same thing, from being consistent. If you want consistent results, and it's the kind of thing that if you are consistent, you can make adjustments. It's not that consistency automatically equals success, right? Just because you take the same plays every day or with the same strategy every day, that it automatically makes you successful. It's by doing that consistency, you'll actually have the information to make adjustments. If you do random things and you're tracking them, the results that you get, it's going to be hard to make adjustments because you're doing random things. The results are kind of different. You don't know how you should be managing to maximize your winners. So when it's consistency, it's just not consistency in the types of plays that you take, the kind of patterns you're looking for, but also in the way that you manage the play, right? The kind of targets that you're looking for, whether you're doing, some kind of reward amount like 2R, 3R, all or nothing, or, half at target 1, half at target 2, right? And then you can even look to say, am I undersizing or overestimating my targets? Am I shooting for too big of targets? So you got to do the things consistently, and then you can make the adjustments, right? That will help make you more successful. So it's not just necessarily doing the same thing, but once you do the same thing, see how that is affecting your performance, and then you can make the right adjustments. Okay, and it's the same thing. So like in these strategies and these entries, right? If the BLMN worked really well yesterday on a pro gap and a 5-minute buy setup, and so that's been working. That was the same thing on the TROX earlier this week, right? And so if I come to another pro gap 5-minute buy setup like the SU today, right? I know that that's what's working. I'm going to continue to do that, right? And that'll help, make sure that I'm doing the strategy, I'm doing the entries that are in line with this market environment. Okay, so that's going to do it for today's market wrap. If you have any questions or any comments or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments. All right, I do try to read them. And hope you have a great 3-day weekend. And I will talk to you on Tuesday. All right, have a good weekend, everyone.